Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles, and I want to welcome you today to the Motivation and Success Podcast Show. Now, today on the show, we have an absolutely incredible guest for you. You are going to love this. His name is Larry Gilman, and he's been teaching a course called The Mastery for over 30 years now, and where he teaches entrepreneurs, business owners, and people from all walks of life how to live a truly inspired life and just a much better life, much more successful life in every area of your life, whether it be relationships, finances, health, whatever. And today in the show, Larry talks about some really deep things that I think are going to make a profound difference in your life. You see, for me, I've noticed that I've got one big problem in my business, and it's the same problem keeps coming up over and over again. And I don't know if you have that problem, but that problem is called me. Like, I'm the cause of most of the problems in my business, most of the problems in my relationships, most of the problems in my health and my life, because I made a mistake. I self-sabotaged. I forgot to do something. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. You know, whatever it is, we all make those mistakes in life, and we got to realize, like, if we want things to improve in our business or whatever area of life, we need to work on ourselves. And that's what I love about Larry is he teaches the fundamentals of how you work on yourself to make yourself a better person so you can have a better life. So bring out your journal, bring out your notebook, take great notes, and enjoy the show. Well, Larry, thanks so much for being with us today on the Motivation and Success Podcast Show. Tell us more about your background and what got you interested in business and communication in the first place.
Well, originally, and this you might find interesting, is I was a pre-med. And when I was going to school, I became a licensed emergency medic because I always knew that I had a want to be with people, to assist them, to help them, and I thought being a doctor would be the best way. So I actually helped deliver a baby. I helped with some other doctors, obviously, to save some people's lives in emergency operations. And that was really exciting. And I realized at the time, though, that wasn't where I wanted to go. I loved medicine, loved all that stuff. That was all cool, but that wasn't it. And so then I became an actor and director. I did really, really well. And then I started teaching. And as soon as I started teaching, I realized this was also an outlet for my own creativity, my own ability to communicate back to other people. And then I took this course called The Mastery of Self-Expression back in 1978. And I just thought, having done both small groups and big groups, that this was the most honoring of the individual. Mm-hmm. And so I started training to lead it and was trained for about 3 years. And then in 1982 started leading the Mastery, and now have led it more than anybody else in the world.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you take kind of the skills you had as an actor and apply those to teaching and speaking on stage, and how did that help?
Yes, it absolutely did, because as an actor, you actually have to listen to people, to listen to their inflection, to watch them, to actually pay attention, not just figure, well, you say this line and then I'll say this line. Mm-hmm. And so the more that I discovered about the different techniques, and I studied a lot, both in New York, Los Angeles, everything from Shakespeare to movement to fencing to martial arts to all aspects that would help the discipline, is that the more I paid attention, the more open I was, that the greater response, the greater my ability to react to stimulus that was given to me. Mm-hmm. And as a teacher and as someone who is coaching other people to either in life coaching aspect or business coaching, I keep listening to what they're saying, what they're really saying. I watch their body, I listen to their tone, and it absolutely helped me and assisted me in assisting them to become either better business entrepreneurs, better actors, better listeners, better coaches. And it was, and my theatrical background, I think, helped me a little bit to, like the old, well, he's actually dead now, but he's a wonderful acting teacher named Harold Clurman. And he used to, when I listened to other actors who had worked with him, they said he always did a little thing, a little bit more, you know, a little bit more than they would do it. And then they said that gave them the room to realize, I can move that far forward, rather than just listening to the reasonableness. Right. I mean, what you're doing, what I'm doing, what people want to do, it's totally unreasonable, because you're actually reaching out to other people, and they have to get past their mind into their hearts and into their passions and their dreams. And that to me was a great satisfaction to be able to assist people in having them take at least one more step forward, sometimes many steps to that aim, and to that aim.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that help, entrepreneurs or business owners? I mean, stepping out and being bold. We always talk about, entrepreneurs have to be bold, they have to be daring, and risk takers. Have you found is that the truth? I mean, do you really just have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, you do. You have to say, I don't want to do a 9 to 5. Which I want to do a 9 to 5. I want to have my life be more of my own. So right away, you're saying, I'm not going to let everybody else, or at least one other person, tell me what to do. I want to create my own way. Now, as soon as you create your own way, you have all the messages from all the people who say, that's great, but when you grow up, what are you really going to do?
Right.
And you're already saying, I have an idea that I'm passionate about, that I am driven to get up to do. And I think that's actually not only wonderful, I think it's where a lot of other people have given up on their dreams. And I think an entrepreneur is saying, no, I want my dream to be fruitful. I want to pursue my dream. I don't want to just pretend at it. I'm going to throw myself into it. I'm going to risk. I'm going to maybe not get that salary and that job and the office and everything else and die because I'm just listening to somebody else. And not that those jobs can't be creative, because I think they can be. But there's something in entrepreneurs that say, I want to make it my own way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that spirit. Because at any time you could be doing great, and then all of a sudden you could not be.
Yeah.
And then you reinvent yourself. And you have to start all over again. And just when you think you're doing great, then you got to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? And so the fact that entrepreneurs want to be in the middle of it, not do it and then be on the outside of it, I think it really, my job is to help them stay connected with their passion, to remember their dream, because sometimes in the day-to-day stuff, it's really hard to be in touch with your passion and your dream and your vision.
Mm-hmm.
If we can reconnect, if we can go back to the place why it is that you started, what it is that you actually wanted to do, rather than just get enmeshed in the details of it. Because I find that true in my own business. Sometimes the details are, I want to run away.
Yeah.
They're overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be handled. And I say, well, how do I go from the details into and actually get back in touch with my vision? Well, what I started to realize is it's handling the details that actually allowed me to put myself in touch with my vision and not to resist the details of the actual job.
I find that exact same thing to be true. Like when I get done, like when I clear out my email box and I get all the little tasks done that I've been putting off, and I just clear, and then that's the time I'm the most creative, and I have the most new ideas and the most inspiration, because I kind of got all that clutter away, and I'm really focused on what I really want to create.
Yeah, and it's amazing that stuff which we resist, and the clutter and the stuff around us, is actually the way through, as opposed to, well, I'll let somebody else take care of it, and then what most people do is, I don't even want to manage it. And that's where they start letting go of their business.
Exactly. Yeah, they kind of delegate things to other people, and they don't follow up, and things just fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. And they start to assume that you will know how I want to do it, mm-hmm. because I did it once. First, the only reason you did it once was because you made it up.
Yeah.
Great. But now, that was then. Now, this is now, and you have to again look forward as, how do I make it up so that you again get to be creative as opposed to not have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fun part, that people say, well, I worked at this for so long, when do I get to take a rest? And for me, it's when you die. Don't worry about it. But that's the point, is you became an entrepreneur because you said you loved doing the work. You loved the engagement of it. You loved the stuff of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part about getting them back in touch with it, and also to say you're not limited to just one passion. You can have more than one passion, and I think it's really important to feed the others and to go away from business so that when you do come back to business, you're rejuvenated, you're refreshed, you're nourished. And like you said, once you get through all the minutiae, you take a breath, and that's when some of your most creative times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to me it's akin to, we can see it if we walk into our bedroom, and it's really messy and it's cluttered and da da da. And actually one of the fellows that we just worked with, somebody had suggested you're going to go into your office, clean the entire thing out, which is what I did with mine. Mm-hmm. And well, I'll tell you, some of the stuff in my office, it was precious. It was. But you don't understand, this was the time in 1987, and they gave this to me, and this was a... And they said, great, clear it out, clear it out.
Yeah.
And then the next thing they did was say, okay, I'm going to take a couple of days and just go into your space, my office space, and repaint it first so that you have the colors you want. And then just sit there and look around and see what you have to have, but more importantly, what you want in the office. Mm-hmm. Me, they said, what is the sensation, what is the experience you want when you walk in? I said, well, for me, it's very important to breathe. I need to feel like I'm not so cluttered that I can actually breathe and I can look around. So I have French doors here and windows here, and then I have windows on this side over here. And I wanted artwork, and I wanted some pictures of people who I cared about. Mm-hmm. I was reminded, and then I needed some stuff, because I have 4 different businesses here. So I needed the fax machine, the printer, the paper, the blah, 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 that stuff. And then we just started eliminating everything else. Mm-hmm. And so that when you walk in, my dogs can be here, which is very important, my dogs. And I'm right by the garden, so if I need to stretch my legs, or if I need to just go outside and be there, so I set up a table outside. Mm-hmm. Underneath the tree, I can do my phone calls there. But it's conducive to me when I'm doing business, not to be shut in, but to actually have space. Mm-hmm. That was me.
Absolutely. Well, and I find the same thing true for myself. You know, I need that space to create and to, create new things in my business. And and when I was growing up, I actually didn't think I was a creative person at all. I'm very left-brained, analytical. And the more and more I'm getting into business, the more I realize I'm actually way more a creative person than I ever thought and I ever imagined. And it's that creativity that makes my business more profitable, more fun, more inspiring, more impactful. So let's talk about that. How do you, as an entrepreneur, take more creativity into your business and your work and what you're doing, other than just clearing out your space?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I would ask you. So I'm looking. I just happen to see a section of your. But behind you, what colors turn you on?
I don't know. I like blue. Blue's my favorite color. I'm wearing a blue shirt.
So I would say, okay. So I'm looking around. I don't see any blue. Uh-huh. I would say, where is a place that you can, and there's actually a great artist, Klein, that did paintings of nothing but blue. Mm-hmm. And it ultimately got to be Klein blue, because he really, he worked the color to get the depth and the tone and the hue and all that. Anyway, so that there, I would say, great, have more of that color, not only in your dress, but around you, because it's obviously conducive, and you go, I love this. Mm-hmm. Okay? The second thing is, I would take a look at your lighting. Not just that, do you have light? What light do you love? Do you have music around you? What music can you play? Or what music is conducive to you being creative? Mm-hmm. Not working, because that should be a different music. But for you to actually take time to be creative. Do you have a chair that allows you to be creative, as opposed to, my chair here behind my desk is a work chair. That's not a relaxing chair. When I try to relax in it, which I can go back and swivel around, but it's not a oh, wow, I feel comfortable.
Right. A lazy boy.
Yeah. So I actually, that's one of the reasons actually there's a chair outside when underneath the tree that to me is, I can sit there and just feel, wow. Do you have a place where you can be surrounded in a certain way that is conducive for you to think, not to do anything, not even to come up with anything, but to let yourself dream and imagine. And for me, it's even if you fall asleep, to let the subconscious and the unconscious work for you, as opposed to I'm wasting time, which is what most people do. If I'm not working, I must be wasting time. And for me, it's no, if you don't give yourself, and I'm not talking sleeping time, I'm talking actual time to breathe, envision, and not have to come up with something, because then the mind becomes, this is a task, as opposed to vision, where can you go that your linear mind doesn't know about? You can actually give your expansive, creative mind out of the box. So I challenge myself with some questions. I could have anything. What would I like? If I could dress any way, how would I want to dress? If I could have my office anyway. No, because, oh, well then, I don't have enough money, I have too much money, or I don't have enough space, but it's, if I'm not even going to let myself dream like that, and I let the realities of the world, circumstances of my reality come in and stop me, I've essentially said, yeah, you can dream, but you can only dream conditionally. Okay? So then I would say to you, what books do you read that have nothing to do with business, but that you just are thrilled to read the next page? Is it sci-fi? Is it mystery? Is it romance? Is it technical? What is it that you just go, wow, this is time well spent? And then the other thing that I think is really important is physically. That people find some way physically of getting back in touch with your body. Not even necessarily getting in shape. That's a whole other thing. But getting back in touch with your body. So it could be as simple as I go out to, there's a place called Valencia out here, or I'm actually close to the ocean, and I'll go to a secluded part of the beach, and I'll just scream. Not at anyone, unless there's something up, and not at anything, but it's to get back in touch with my deep, deep voice, to get back in touch with my edges, to get back in touch with all the things that obviously, even though I think I'm pretty good at opening up, that I suppress, like we all do. Get myself raw again. I will also sometimes run or ski, if I can ski, or scuba dive to the point of exhaustion, not so that I just can say I did that, but it's also to get to that place where, like you just said, once I clear everything out, then I can be creative.
That kind of sounds like an acting exercise there. Going to the beach and screaming and, making the weird faces and things like that.
Yeah, it is a certain way because physically, this is our instrument. It doesn't matter if you're an actor or if you're a finance person, this is the instrument. This is what you carry around. And if you're not in touch with it, because I think there's some innate knowledge in here, and if we're not in touch with it, we're missing a critical factor of where to draw information from. And then what we do is we start doing things by rote. And then it has to become boring because we've already done it before.
Yeah.
But it's like meeting somebody. You watch people, and you can see it, and I know you've experienced this. Somebody says hi, they shake your hand, they're not even looking at you. Or if they are looking at you, they're not there. Somebody's hand, and they're really present, and all of a sudden you say hi, and you're introducing yourself brand new, and now moment to moment, what's going to happen next? What's in? That to me is, now I'm in the moment. Now that's how I get to be creative, because I don't know what's going to happen next. It's not all by rote. And I watch people disappear all the time. And the biggest thing is people disappear in their life. They figure, okay, I'll just do this, disappearing in my business, but I can show up anytime I want. And what they do is they practice and practice, practice disappearing, and then they don't know how to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So all the things I do are really so that I get to stay present and keep myself, pushing myself so that I get to be more present and more present and more present.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you've been teaching these courses now for what, like 30 years? I mean, how does that not get boring, doing the same course, the same curriculum for 30 years?
Yeah, maybe I'm lucky, but I find people really fascinating. I find situations and listening to them, and I think I'm lucky that I can actually throw myself to be present and have no other agenda other than to be there with them. So in the moment, it's brand new again.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm lucky because I practice it like crazy and I concentrate. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I go around, since I have dogs, I clean up after them. Well, a lot of places in our yard, we have wood chips. So I have to actually practice seeing what's a wood chip and what's not a wood chip. Now, that's crazy, but forces me to keep looking brand new. And in my workshops, I have to force myself and make sure, this is my job, to keep looking brand new. Not to say, and I stop looking at you. I stop being present with you.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's so true. And it's not some esoteric conversation we're having about, you know, philosophy, but like, this is actually like applicable in your own business because, you know, so many entrepreneurs, they think, oh, well, you know, tech stocks are going up like in the 90s. You know, they're going to keep going up, they're going to keep going up, and they don't look at the reality of the fundamentals or the financial crash of 07, 08. And people don't look at the fundamentals, and when things change, they're still looking at the old way that things were and thinking that's how it's always going to be.
Yeah. When I do work with people in business, sometimes they say, we just watch how I work so you can show or tell me places where I'm not conscious. So I'll watch how they have conversations. I'll watch some decisions they make. And then I'll ask them at the end of the day, I'll say, why did you make this decision? He said, well, that's what I always do. I said, well, wait. There was some place in your face I saw, you didn't really like that decision. No, well, actually, this was somebody I'd done business. I said, but wait. You want to redo your business? You want to create it brand new? You don't want to do business with somebody? You got to tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'll upset them. That's right. But rather than you being upset and carrying it and resenting both them and regretting yourself for making that, which went against your innate knowledge, you just went along. Mm-hmm. You went fully unconscious. You just made the same old decision.
Mm-hmm.
You want to create yourself brand new? You got to be on top of your game. Right. And that's mostly what I watch is people, they stop breathing at those moments. And that's so it becomes, if you're a poker player, a tell.
Right. You play poker?
That's one of the things. And we will play poker with people when I can see their eyes. This whole that kind of stuff. That's
cheating.
Yeah, it is cheating. Playing the cards, but I want to watch the people. I want to see, you know, what I've heard is that ultimately after you finish playing the cards, you're playing the person. You're actually, especially people who play a lot.
Right, for sure.
And that's the fun part. Mm-hmm. And especially if they fool you. Oh, what? Good. I didn't see that. That was great.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun.
Uh-huh.
You know, so why I think there's some people better in baseball or football is they're a little more conscious. They see the ball a little faster, a little better. They're a little more open. Their visual acuity is a little bit bigger. And their intelligence along with their innate person, it's a little more attuned.
Mm-hmm.
Actually want to do so that they're being true to themselves as opposed to just being smart or being clever.
Mm-hmm.
Soul in it. So I would keep saying, with what you're doing, is your soul in this?
Definitely. I love it. I love teaching. I love sharing, you know, just what's worked for me, what's worked for you. I just love sharing information with people that's going to help them improve their lives.
Yeah, and do you also solicit response back from people of how has this helped you? Give me something specific so that you have a measure of things that have shifted for the people who are either reading your blog or listening to the webcast of a podcast.
Yeah, I love to get feedback from listeners and readers of the blog and see, you know, how are they applying this information and what challenges are they having. And I think that's the biggest thing I found for being an entrepreneur, especially doing online marketing, is that there's so much to learn. And
Yes.
and the thing that holds you back, it's never, you know, some big problem. It's like, you know, how do I build a website? Which, you know, someone can show you in 5 minutes how to do it with WordPress now. It's so simple. But all these millions of people in the world, you know, take them years to figure it out because they don't have that mentor to answer those questions for them. And so
Yeah.
I love that interactivity of the web now, is that people can learn, you know, what used to take years to learn in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, yeah. The hardest part about my teaching, what I do, is that I actually have to take more time. So it's not something, tell me how to do it and then I'll do it.
Right.
They have to experience it.
Right.
People fall in love and they get so impatient. I mean, how come I can't get it? Well, because you have had years of practice of not. So we got to just take some of the layers off so that you get back to who you already are. We don't even need to create something new. It's just who you already are, and discover the beauty of that, the fascination of that, the extraordinary talent that you have, and it will be like no one else's.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get out of envy and jealousy of others, what they have, and start really acknowledging and taking stock of what we have and being proud of that, that would actually allow us to walk around the world with more self-worth, more self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, it sounds like, and for you too, it's kind of entrepreneurship or business is more of a journey to kind of find out who you are and express yourself and you know, kind of leave a legacy in the world or make a difference in the world. And that's what it's been for me, is like I love making a difference and helping people. Is that kind of what you see as a universal principle for people in business, that they just want to help others or just be unique in some way?
Absolutely, absolutely. That I think with the people that I've met out of like the course where I first met you and the others, that they actually do have an altruistic part of them, that they want to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know that they make a difference. They want to know that they have an impact. Some people, it's disguised with, if I make more money, then I will. And it's not. It's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's, if you want to make a difference, don't wait for your business to make a difference. You start making a difference. So it may be, one of the things I practice is when I go to airports and I go into the Hudson News or the different newsstands and stuff, I always look for the person's nameplate. So I get to call them by name. And I'll say, Louise, can you tell me where this is? And they always go, what? Mike, can you help me here? How do you know? Well, they forget that it's right there. But in that moment, they realize someone actually saw them. So I do that with airline people, and I travel a lot, with libraries, and when I get a coffee or something, I will always ask them their name, and sometimes I'll shake their hands, or I'll say, thank you, you really helped me. But I want to make sure that with every interaction, and I'm not perfect on this, but with every interaction that I'm conscious of, that I let that person know, you were visible to me, I saw you, I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make a difference? What more do you want to do? You know, to have someone feel like they matter, that they make, with whatever they think about their job, that makes a difference. Every waiter, especially when they're having a tough day, I'll ask them something to the effect of, so, I see you're slammed. You're really, really busy. What can we do? And they go, what do you mean, what can you do? But look at the engagement. It's like, what? Nobody ever asks that. Nobody ever says, what can you do? It's, okay, do you want me to hassle you? Do you want me to yell at you? Do you want me to just say, this is what I'd like? Tell me what I can do to help make this a little bit better experience for both you and us. And then right away, even though they're slammed and they're already paying more attention to me and the table. Now, that's not the reason I did it. It's really to say, wow, I've been in that position. I've been in the position where in the bank, there's 400 people waiting. And they go, I can't go any faster. It's the computers. or the TSA people, or the security people. I'll just go up and every now and then just say, hey, did anyone ever say thank you today for doing what you do? They look at me like, are you weird? And then when they say, no, I just want to say, I appreciate you're the first line of defense for me, so thanks. And then they all go, oh, you're welcome. And with all of them, they say, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever notices me. So you want to make a difference with people, start with the people, not who you think those are the ones you have to, everybody you meet. We have a joke in our family that give me 5 minutes and I'll find out everything about your life. So now in my family, what they start doing is, okay, so what'd you find out? Because now all of a sudden it puts them in, I found out this, and found out this, and it's because they asked. They actually took the time to say, I'm curious about you, so tell me about you, or just to listen. And I think it's a huge thing. So I don't have to wait for a seminar. I don't have to wait for a workshop. I don't even have to wait for a coaching session. I can do it with, I just came back from the gym for one of the people that was there and just say, hey, thanks for doing all the towels. And he looks at me and goes, that's my job. I said, yeah, but I think you do it really well. He's like, thank you, senor. Something little to acknowledge. We spend more time acknowledging. I think we'd have less time and less want to make war with them.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. And that's one of the things I've seen so many entrepreneurs do is that they, with their employees, with their business partners, with their investors, is that they do have a way of communicating with someone that's, more than just the brisk, hey, how are you? Let's get to business kind of thing. Maybe they bring more presence to it or more intuition or something. But all we see on TV really is these stereotypical entrepreneurs who are all about business and money, 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 and get it done. Is that your experience? I mean, are those the really successful people, or what makes you successful?
No, I think what happens is sometimes when people go on those programs that they are supposed to give great advice or 5 tips for everyone else to be able to improve, which I think tips are great. But I always think with any tip or anything else, any theory, any exercise or anything else, you either throw yourself into it or not. So it's what you put into it versus the tip. And I think with every transaction, if we start thinking, and this is really, I think, a key for entrepreneurs, with every transaction, it's a service. Am I actually providing the best service? Am I giving them everything that they expect and more? And if not, how can I? So that they feel, wow, the money I just spent was really, really worth it. The effort I just made was really, really worth it because of what I got back. And sometimes, and this is the hard part with me, it's not, well, you get $1,000 more. It's the sense of self. And then to have people keep practicing what got them there, as opposed to now that I have it, I will have it forever. You won't. Right? And people don't equate it to, but there's food all around the world. Supermarkets, restaurants, sidewalk vendors. But you actually either have to go to the supermarket to buy the food to then go home and prepare it so you get to eat it. Or you go to a restaurant and for that food you exchange money, vendor. But you either had to work to get the money, so you had to exchange, or you went to the market and same thing. But that takes work to feed yourself. And even though you ate today, you probably want to eat tomorrow. Yeah. That, to me, is the same. Now that you did it today, you get to wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. And most people resent that versus, wow, I get to do it all over again. And I think that mindset of, look at what I created. Or I'm working with some people, they're making a huge move from Australia to England. And I said, so in the next 6 months when they move, and they're literally moving out of the apartment, the house, the packing everything. The things that you're going to encounter, and some of them are going to be really tough, you have to remember to tell yourself, I brought this on because I wanted to move. That's the only reason they showed up. When people get into disagreements, especially in their relationship, or feelings get hurt, you have to know, I brought this on by being in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was out of a relationship, I'd never face this. But we resent that it shows up, as opposed to, wow, I put myself here so I could do that.
Yeah. That's deep. I mean, that's so true. Is that that's what I see all the time, and people who say, you know, I want to start a business, but I can't do it. I can't do this. I can't do that. And
Yes.
and oftentimes the excuses it's all about, you know, they resent the situation that they're in, and they're so unhappy with where they are, but they're not willing to see that, like you said, that they created that in some way. It doesn't mean it's their fault, but that they have to take responsibility for that in order to move on. He's doing his job, huh?
See, they're up to the task.
Well, you brought that on.
They are announcing themselves. They're saying, I'm here, deal with me. And it's usually like the UPS guy or FedEx guy. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. Shh, shh. Hey, hey. Okay, good. First line. That's my first line of defense right there.
Yeah.
And they wake me up.
Yeah.
You know, so that's akin. But just what you said, it's so important that we don't get to be victims of our lives, as opposed to, I actually am able to respond, responsible for this part of my life. And of course, things will come up either in a relationship, business, or personal. Transactions. Someone assumed you meant this, and you never led them to that, but that's what they assume. So you're either show up and you say, I need to deal with this expectation, and how do I service you so that you feel whole, or not, versus resist that people have problems with them. And usually it's because they're not clear. Where I find the entrepreneurs get in the biggest trouble is that they know something that they hope won't show up, and then when it does, they resent that it did.
What do you mean?
There are some people that you will deal with that in the back of your head, it goes, I should have this whole conversation with them. I don't want to because you got and I hope they get it. And then when it shows up, you go, I should have listened to myself. So on this, so for example, I just read this whole thing about a bank, that these people had a loan with the bank. They were paying it off absolutely on time, no problems. And in the very, 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 very small fine print at the end of the contract, it said the bank can change the conditions and limitations of this at any time at their own discretion. Now, when the people took out the loan and when the bank made the loan, the bank had that information that they never communicated to the people. The people thought, I have a 7-year loan, we're paying it off on time, we're good. They decided to change it. That to me is a lie by omission. Okay? And people do that a lot. Hopefully that'll never get to that. Now what happened to the bank is the people brought it to the press. And so now rather than being between them and these people, now hundreds of thousands of people read this, and then it was on the news. And now the bank, thinking that they got them because they're legal, it wasn't the spirit of the loan, but it was the actuality, that they had a right to do this. Well, the flack that they're taking for it is not worth the money that they want to close on. Something like $87,000. The amount of bad press, way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And entrepreneurs really need to know no one is like somebody else. You always have to deal with the person, not just the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get enjoyment out of that, you should be in a different business.
That's true, because business is a people business. It's all about relationships, and I tell that to people all the time. If you want long-term business success, you have to have long-term business relationships, and you have to be able to invest in those relationships. They have to be good relationships. You can't just, have people that you hate that you're trading money with, because at the end of the day, someone's, not going to be happy with that arrangement.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a perfect time, that with all the political stuff going on now between Republican and Democrat. So I have a preference for a party, and I'm making calls to other people who are undecided, and I ask them, so are you in favor of the president? If not, I really want to know, and I literally write it down for the party, specifically what they're not in favor of. Now, all I'm doing is engaging them in conversation. I'm not trying to change their mind or anything else. And at the end of our conversation, even people who they and I are very different camps, we've had this conversation without having to convince the other person that I'm more right than you are. Mm-hmm. Conversation, every person I've asked, I said, isn't it more important that we actually have a conversation? Because ultimately we're both Americans. We both want the same thing, the best thing for our country. Why are they pitting us one against the other? And that started years ago, with you either with me or against me. Mm-hmm. That whole setup about saying I'm a uniter and then I say that, we're not, it's so amazing how many different messages we're saying we should be united and then we're absolutely told not to be. Mm-hmm. So in throes of this versus can we have a conversation, really disagree with each other, but not diminish the other by having a different opinion. Mm-hmm. In business relationships, especially with entrepreneurs, you resist getting into adversarial relationships. Mm-hmm. And then there will be one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you have to do? For me, it's easy. I can just give money back. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. Mm-hmm. So you have to pick and choose where you want to do your battles.
That's so true.
And the whole thing is, if you have a sense of vision, no one should actually be the end of the war. It's just a thing in between. Mm-hmm. So, and if you're not in touch with your vision, if you're not in touch with your passion, then that thing becomes becomes the overriding experience of the business, which is why I see people get out of business.
Yeah, because they get tired, they don't like it anymore, they don't enjoy it anymore, they don't like the people they're around.
Another business, if I start another business, it'll be different.
Exactly, yeah.
It will be in the beginning because it's all new.
Yeah.
But then over the newness, there you are. Why? Because there you are. You got yourself into it.
Yeah.
Up in one, probably you'll show up in another.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So keep discovering. That's why it's so important to have other passions, other dreams, other things that nourish you and replenish you, and that you could go, take a breath and go, great, I found a way to get back to me. So now when I go back and do this, I can bring my whole self to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, not be just one-dimensional, one business, and that's all you focus your time on, and that's all your energy goes to, and you don't live a happy life because you're just focused on one thing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why, to me, it's so fascinating that I get to work with so many different people. So right away, I'm with people I would never otherwise have met. Mm-hmm. Different locations. I do a lot of corporate consulting also. And so I'm in businesses and industries that normally in my own sphere I would never get to touch or be around. Mm-hmm. And so I actually think I have quite a fascinating life, and no two sessions are ever the same. Mm-hmm. Cool. So to go back to your other question, after doing it for 30 years, which we're having a 30th year in Vancouver in 2 weeks, celebration, that there are no two that are exactly the same because the people keep changing. The scope again stays the same. There's things we have to get through, but what enriches it and what gives it flavor and what gives it just what makes it so rewarding is the people in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you gotta love the people that you're working with. I mean, otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah, and I do fall in love with the people I work with. I watch them take a step, a baby step, or sometimes not back off, just hold their ground. And that is such a monumental feat that I feel honored and privileged to be part of that with them, that I could actually be there when they're doing it, and then it becomes that shared experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it so rich and rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, where can people share this experience with you? I mean, where can people find out more about your courses and the work that you do?
We have a web, www.themasteryworkshops.com or .net. And on that website, it'll give an explanation of what the weekend is like, the Mastery Weekend. That's what I've been leading for over 30 years. It's a Friday night, usually Saturday and Sunday. When I go to Taiwan, because of simultaneous translation, I has to extend the day because it takes just so much longer. And they can find out the information, where I am, the cities that we do it in, et cetera, et cetera. And then they can also, at the same website, look at some other programs that I lead. One is a leadership program, which is I expect adults that they are leaders in different areas of their lives. And then in other areas of their lives, you look at that person and go, wait, where did that leader go? And so the whole aspect of leadership, the abstraction of leadership, what it means, and then everyone will get in front of the room. Everyone will have a chance at leading the room and look at the dynamics, the personalities, and how to interact with people and actually work with people. The cool workshops, both mastery and leadership, small groups of people. Mastery is usually 20 to 24 people. You're going to be with us 32 to 40 hours over the weekend. You have to memorize a monologue. Creativity, 2.5 minutes. It could be a song, prose, poetry, but so that people get to have a chance to actually express themselves. Leadership, same thing. There's another program called Into the Abyss, where we look into places we cannot see, or we hear things, the hearing of which has not made a difference to us at all. So someplace it goes in one ear, out the other.
Right.
And look into the very nature of an abyss is look down into a bottomless pit. What can you see? And people draw. Everyone will make a film at the end of the weekend by doing that. And then there's also another one called The Next Step. And that came about because people who were around the mastery and had both taken it and assisted at it or observed, they said, what's next? And so a woman named Trish Bride and myself created this over a year of what the next step. And we go to look at a lot of core issues. We've had really, really fabulous success with all of those. And then just this last year, this is the last one, the fellow who created the Mastery and myself, we came up with a program called The Journey. And it's a week long in North Carolina, and it's only 10 or 12 people that we do everything for a week, and we look at all of things, your sensorial knowledge, to look into the abstract, to discover where you are stopping yourself, where you, on a personal level, to actually take time for yourself, to music, taste, smell, listen, walk, silence. Can you even hear what's going on inside of you? And that we've had tremendous success with that. And that's been so www.themasteryworkshops.com, and that will tell you about us and where to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Larry. I know the information you share with us will help thousands of people improve their lives, and just wish you even more success in your work, and thank you so much for sharing with us.
Oh, Tom, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And if you look at Tom, he looks so much younger since we worked together.
Yeah, you're making fun of my baby face. I get it. Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles again, and I hope you loved the show today with Larry Gilman. Hope you got some great notes and some really valuable information out of what he shared with us today. And hope you're going to go out there and apply it. Hope you're going to make a difference in your life and create that space that you love in your home and create that inspiration that you want in your life. And go out there and make a difference with your business. And that's what my wish is for you, and I hope the show has helped you to do that. So check out the show notes below. You can get more information about Larry and all the work that he's doing, and I highly recommend that you work with him in a workshop if you can. I worked with him a few weeks ago, and I mean, this is a life-changing experience, honestly. It's like, before you work with Larry and after you work with Larry, you're a totally different person. So I hope you'll go and take advantage of that awesome resource for you. And make sure to stay tuned for the show next week, where we are going to have a very special surprise guest. You won't want to miss it. See you soon.